Welcome to the You Are Love podcast, hosted by Arna.
Hello, thank you for joining me today. I am a clinical hypnotherapist and spiritual counselor, and I've worked in the field of mind-body medicine and healing for over 20 years. I have created the AskArna podcast as a way to share with you valuable knowledge and wisdom that I have learned along the way on my journey to self-love and healing. It is my hope that the information that I share with you today will be beneficial for your journey to self-love and healing. We are going to look at how to cope with the current pandemic crisis, COVID-19, that we are in. I have with me on the line Joelle Norwood. Joelle is actually an associate, a friend, and she's also an optimal wellness coach. Joelle, thank you for joining me. Are you in Portland, Oregon right now?
I am in Portland, Oregon. I have just come back from a almost 3 months trip in Mexico.
Okay, so I think what I'd like to do is get what happened for you when you made the transition, because this is very unique for people who have been living in the United States here. We have watched a process. It's been exponential. What's happened every day of what I'm going to call the disruption of our daily living. And that's what we're going to be focused on. But here you were 3 months in paradise. And then all of a sudden, you sent me some pictures last night from Denver Airport. What was that like? What did you see and what did you experience?
Well, first of all, thank you, Arna, for inviting me on your podcast. And I have to say that it was quite interesting. We stopped in Denver to change planes to go to Portland, Oregon. The mood on the plane was very quiet and very sobering, as people were quite overwhelmed as to what they were going to find out in the United States, what was happening. And as we are all wired right now with Wi-Fi, even on planes, people were finding out that Disneyland was closed, that sporting events were closed, that you couldn't find toilet paper. So even people who had only been on vacation for a week were being shocked by this news and overwhelmed and, wanting to go home, but also very scared to go home. So you could feel the pain, their fear. At the Denver airport, there was Purell containers everywhere. All the guards were wearing, the security, TSA and everything were wearing gloves. I think that's a precaution they take most of the time. But you could visibly see people wearing masks, even young children. Even children that were 2 years old were wearing mittens or gloves so they wouldn't touch anything. In the bathrooms, people were washing their hands for quite a long time. I mean, much more than I've ever seen before. So you could see that there was a definite awareness of following the guidelines and seeing how serious this was.
What a transition for you.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, tell me, what did you come from? How did you feel when you were away? And I'm going to talk about and I would like to focus on your daily living, because what we're dealing with now is disruption in daily living. So just 48 hours ago, what was your daily life like?
So my daily living as a health and wellness coach was contacting my clients and speaking to them on the phone or having Skype calls with them and just and I was hearing the fear in their voices as to what was going on. But for me, my life was getting up in the morning to beautiful sunny days, going for my morning walk at the ocean and just seeing this beautiful vista, eating avocados by the kilos, having beautiful meals with all sorts of fresh fruits and vegetables. And it was easy living. We didn't have a car, so we walked a lot. I was clocking in at 14 to 18,000 steps a day. So my life was very active. and very non-constrictive, which I'm finding out now as I see what's being closed in Portland, including movie theaters and gyms and schools, that my life has now, my freedoms have been diminished greatly.
Yeah, and that is exactly going to be the nature. And we're going to talk about coping and how to walk through this. Now, we are dealing with something that is changing every minute. And that's the other thing. It's that we don't really have a chance to let's establish this routine and we're going to be okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Correct.
So how to cope with that on a daily basis. So I'm wondering, maybe you haven't even had a chance to think about it yet, but you're back to this new normal, I'll call it. Okay. You left Portland one way and now you're coming back. What is your new normal life going to look like now?
Well, I can tell you that at the minute my plane landed in Portland, which was around midnight, I walked off the plane into what seemed like a very dark cloud. And I had to make a choice. I had to stand there at the gate and make a choice. What was I going to do? And I sat at the gate for a couple of minutes and I calmed down my breathing and said, I'm going to step into this in calmness, not in fear. So I had to do a lot of self-talk as soon as the plane landed and I got off the flight. The next thing I did is I went to the bathroom. I drank 2 glasses of water to keep myself totally hydrated. I washed my hands and dried them thoroughly because I had just gotten off the flight. So I'm following the guidelines. I also looked in the mirror and I brushed my hair and I put on lipstick, even though it was midnight. I was just like, you know what? Just take care of yourself. Take a moment, breathe, and control what you can control. And be that person who can use these tools to live your daily life without getting into the fear.
By the way, I think that is beautiful, beautiful advice. What I'm focused on is this concept of breathing, okay? Mm-hmm. And breathing, most of us, when we're in fear, we forget about breathing or our breath becomes very shallow. So this idea throughout the day to stop and breathe, I think that's a wonderful tip that we can offer people. Okay. And also slowing down the breath. So I'm going to just do something with you with breath for a moment. I'd like you to breathe in through your nose and slowly breathe out to the count of 3, exhaling through your mouth. Breathe in through your nose. And slowly breathe out once again through your mouth to the count of 3. And once again, breathe in through your nose and breathe out through your mouth to count of 3. And every time you breathe in, you can also focus on the word calm. Mm-hmm. Breathing calm in. And I really think that is going to be important for our daily maintenance right now. So I love the fact of breathing. There's also something else that you said as you described conscious steps that you took. You made a choice. You sat there and said, what kind of experience am I going to have? This is the situation. I have a choice. Now, I think there's certain things that we do not have control over, but we always have control over how we react and see something. We have a vast amount of freedom in that, don't you think?
I totally think that. I think also when I was going through passport control, people were rushing to get through passport and customs when we landed in Denver. And one of the things that the CDC is asking people to do is to be 3 to 6 feet away from another person, so that if there's any sneezing or anything going on, that you've got distance between you and another person. So I was very conscious about that, because really, even if I rushed myself to passport and customs, how much was I going to save? A minute, 2 minutes? It wasn't going to be that much in the scheme of things. And I had plenty of time between flights. So if people can also not get caught up in the energy of other people and stay in your own energy, I think that's really important to think that way.
Absolutely. I'd like to share a very big wake up for me last night while you were flying. And it had to do with the grocery store last night. I think as these disruptions to our daily life as Americans happen, things that we've always relied on, people then rushed here in Los Angeles to all of the grocery stores. And I just watched when I first came in, and these were some new, well-stocked, always stores, just seeing the emptiness of availability and going down the aisles where we're so used to saying, oh, I'd rather have this over this. And then all of a sudden just seeing, okay, well, I have a choice of these 3 because this is all that's left. Which one? And then really feeling grateful. Like, I seriously was so grateful that I found enough things to put in my basket last night and that everything wasn't gone. It was like I had a new level of gratitude, because when you have so many choices in life and there's so much, it's almost distracting. But then when you find like this one thing on an empty shelf and go, wow, this will work for me. It was like incredible. And even standing in the lines, where people in the past would be really frustrated. People were just happy to be in a line. It was like they were like running out the store. And even though, I spoke with another person in front of me and I'm like, I just have a feeling this is the last time I'm going to be in a store. It was just a feeling I had. Like now it's time to think of other ways, other ways to get your food than going to a traditional store. Because, the reality is we're once again working on how to cope with the disruption of daily living, is really taking an opportunity and going, okay, I can get really fearful here, like you said. I can get really angry about this, really frustrated, or I can just go, I am so grateful. That was all I felt last night. Like, even when I took my bags home, whatever I found, I went to a few stores. I said, I have what I need. I'm so grateful. It's like it's opening up a new level of gratitude. And what started last week for me and clients I was working with was the beginning of this opening of just gratitude. Gratitude. It's so amazing. But that's like, I wanted to share with you that that's what I got. This feeling of gratitude.
I totally understand it. Here's a funny story. When I was leaving Mexico, a couple days before leaving, I called my daughter and said, hey, what would you like me to bring you back from Mexico? Do you want a little dress? Do you want a t-shirt? Do you want a little souvenir? And she said, Mom, can you please bring back Purell and toilet paper?
Right. Well, that you know what? Were you able to find it there?
Oh, totally. There's no coronavirus there.
Wow.
There's
oh my God. I should have asked you to bring me some too.
I know. Right?
You could have a new business going, right?
Back and forth. They don't even have Purell. Because, when I asked for, I said to the lady at the pharmacy in the grocery store about, coronavirus, Purell, and I tried to explain it in my crappy Spanish, and she said, "Oh, Corona. Oh, you mean cerveza?"
Mm-hmm.
And cerveza means beer.
Beer,
and I was like,
exactly.
No.
That was what I always thought of. That's very funny. That really is
funny. But the level of gratitude also is learning something that we have lost in America, or at least in all the, super developed countries, which is that there's food every 50 steps. There's food every 100 yards. There's another grocery store, another fast food place. There's always something. And all of a sudden now it's not that. So I think that people have to get to the point of understanding that there's the 7 P's that they need to remember, which is piss poor pre-production equals piss poor production. So you need to pre-plan. You may need to really understand, like you did, like you went to the grocery store, you bought enough food for I don't know how long.
About a month. About a month.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I did today. I went to the grocery store in Portland where the shelves were empty. You're absolutely correct.
Right.
And I bought enough stuff for a month and some canned goods that can last for a long time.
Me too.
But being prepared is something that we have lost in America. We have lost that sense of like, oh, we don't really need to buy food. Tomorrow I can find another restaurant or I can go to another place. And that may not be the case right now. This new norm may be that you need to prepare for yourself and for your family. You need to really maybe even keep some food products in your car, that just so
Absolutely.
You have something.
That's exactly, really what it's so interesting that you said that. I really took cans and said, this is the emergency supply level. And I took it out of the general supply. So I created almost an emergency supply that I locked up. And by the way, adding other things into that, other things like, medications that you might need, other toiletries that you might need, because the reality of the new normal is if people are getting sick, they may not be, there may not be stock coming in. There may not be people to open the stores. The stores may not be allowed to be open. The restaurants may be closed. So it is, like you said, a whole different opportunity on this idea of planning. Would you like to, I like the acronym there. Would you like to tell me more about planning and how that really helps reduce stress?
Well, if you plan ahead, like you start your morning off with a practice of gratitude, like maybe lighting a candle, maybe just taking a moment to write in a gratitude journal, to be able to meditate, even if it's only for 5 minutes, to kind of slow it down so that you start your day on a slower pace. You don't just, fall out of bed, rush around, because maybe you're going to be working from home. So it's even more important for you in your wellness routine to really slow it down, because you may be in your pajamas all day now since you're working from home. So to discipline yourself, to pre-produce your day, to maybe even write yourself a little list so that you have what you need to do. Because so many of us are just, would rush into the car, eat our food in the car as we drive to work. So those days may be gone right now. If you're a teacher, you may be home for quite a while teaching online. So it's also keeping active, so that maybe you get up every hour for 5-10 minutes, and instead of taking a phone call or talking to somebody, that you're actually walking around your house so that your activity level stays up and that you don't just eat and eat and eat. Because a lot of people, when this kind of stuff happens, they move into emotional eating. And but you see that in big snowstorms, you see that in hurricanes, you see that in any disaster kind of situation. So it's important to stay with your own routine and your own wellness and health goals, so that you stay centered.
I think that's great. You also brought something else out that I'd like to point out to our listeners. Many of us, especially It is recommended for the older population, very specifically not to leave your home now. And this concept of how to make your home into a place where maybe, and I'll share something that I've done, to create a special room. Like I went and bought myself last night flowers, and I'm looking at them right now, and they're beautiful and they're colorful, and I'm going to have my activity center, where I'm doing my client work, as a special place in one corner, and another place where I have my activities of artwork. In other words, create your home a little differently. It can be a great opportunity to start decluttering your home, because every inch of your home, if this is going to be your primary space during this period, is going to be important and should be really a sacred area versus it being just something to cover and house, because most of us are running around all the time. We go home just to sleep at night sometimes. But now the concept of having a sacred, safe space that you can perform your daily activities. If you're working at home, you have this area for your work. You have this area for your leisure. You have a little exercise corner. That's the other thing, because luckily we can walk outside still. That's good. But, in addition to that, there are many things that you can do, because I know with gyms right now, so a lot of gyms are shutting down. There are things like buying like little weights. And if you can't do that, you can fill, like a plastic jug with water and lift it. There are elastic bands. There are things that you can do, and you can put that on a door knob. So there are many ways to still stay in good shape, but it is like a whole different experience now that every inch of your home is sacred. It's an amazing thing. As I'm just sitting here right now thinking, well, that corner over there, I can make, and this would be an excellent corner where I can do my art and do my clients over here, do my exercise in this corner. This will be a nice, information corner in front of the television, or where we can have access to information. So, all of a sudden, this situation presents so many opportunities, because we're really having what I call an in vivo experience, or a real life experience of living through a disaster. So, you can plan, but when you're in it, you're in it. And we're all now in it. So I think that's amazing. Yeah.
That we have this. I think it's an amazing opportunity for everybody too.
Yeah. So I would love to hear, as we get toward the end of our time together, what opportunities you see for growth for yourself as you're walking through this, Joelle.
I think for myself, I see keeping my daily routines, the routines that I instilled in myself in the last 3 months, as for my own health and well-being, which is walking every day. And I am lucky enough to live on a second story, so I can just go up and down my stairs 10 times and be perfectly in shape by doing that. Sitting at a table to eat my meals in front of the television, feeding my brain with lovely podcasts about spiritual growth, about personal development. Don't eat in front of the TV watching YouTube disaster videos about what's going on in other places, because we're not there. We're not there. And it's important to keep your mind also in a good mindset. So that's what I'm doing for myself. I'm trying to keep myself centered by taking care of my nutrition, taking care of my activity level, and staying hydrated. Staying hydrated, number one. I don't know how much you're drinking, Arna, but it's 8 to 10 glasses, over 100 ounces a day that people need to have. So you want to keep your immune system as strong as possible by taking care of your body by what you're putting in it. But it's also important to note, what are you putting in your mind also, so that you have a healthy mind and a healthy body.
That, by the way, that is excellent what you said. Let me move a little bit into that topic. It is one of my favorite topics, which is the spiritual nurturing idea. I love what you said, just in form of eating. You don't want, when you're ingesting food, you want to ingest the food with positive thought. So to, like you said, don't watch disaster news while you're eating. Plus, you're not going to be conscious about it. Also, if you eat with gratitude, just being able to bless the food, say, thank you for providing these nutrients and raising my immune system and protection. So that's really important. And I really love the idea of, and I'm going to share something from an ER doc friend of mine who posted something on Facebook yesterday saying, it's real, we're in it. He is in the ER here in the Los Angeles area, but his recommendation was for everyone to stay in their homes, young, because the young can be carriers to the older people, but to use this as an opportunity for mindfulness. Use this time for meditation. Use this time for positive reading. Think about everything you've always wanted to do and always put on the back burner. Make a nice pile of reading materials or projects that you've wanted to work on and say, this is my time to do it. This is a once in a lifetime opportunity where I'm home, where I don't have to run around somewhere, where there are no outer world distractions, where I can take the time to complete things I've always wanted to do. I mean, it's like all of a sudden, the universe has provided us with this once in a lifetime time. If there's a book you've always wanted to write, now's the time. Or a picture you wanted to complete, or an art project, a book you've wanted to read, an area of study that you've wanted to do, along with your other work responsibilities if you're working from home. So that's where I am today. And of course, what I'm going to do is plan to do these kind of postings on a weekly or bi-weekly basis with ideas how to help people cope and what I call reframe this experience. Because look, we're in it. We're in it together. One other thing I want to mention, because the social interaction piece of this, is not recommended, but yet people need that connection. So what I've done is make a list of your closest friends and do daily check-ins. I'm doing that. Check in morning or night. Find out how they're doing. Find out if anyone needs any support, resources, food, supplies. But really have and create a network. So you still have a social interaction and social network. Thank goodness for FaceTime and Skype. If you have family members that are out of town, connect with them through FaceTime, Skype, okay? Any of these ways.
I have friends that are keeping their book club alive by doing a Zoom call.
Yes, Zoom. Yes.
It's free, and you can keep your knitting club together. You just put it on and keep on knitting, and so you guys were all together. That's
the thing. Here's our chance to use the technology that has been there for us. What a blessing that we have it, and such a blessing to be with you, Joelle. I'm putting you on my friend list, my check-in list, okay? And I think this is going, at times like this, actually, people stop, they have more gratitude, they really can put the time into relationships that they haven't put the time into, I am definitely going to intend to really focus on what is important in my life and my values. How about you?
I totally agree. I love the idea of creating that whatever you want to call it, the bucket list, your long lost list of things you want to do, and really take a look at it. Take a look at it seriously. Whatever it is, I want to learn how to disco dance. I want to learn how to skateboard. I want to take a yoga class. Things that you
and it's on YouTube. It's on
YouTube.
It's on
YouTube.
It is.
And then when this thing passes, which it will pass, by the way, all this, this too will pass. We've gone through these plagues all the way back from before the Renaissance, so things happen. And they do pass, that you keep your intentions. You keep those intentions alive and you actually do them.
100%. Absolutely. So speaking of YouTube, I would like to let our listeners know that I do have a YouTube channel called AskArna. I have hundreds of videos, self-help videos, lots of information I would like to direct people to. And Joelle, I'd like you to also give people a way for any kind of wellness coaching, for health. I know you're doing a lot in that area. How will they contact you?
You can find me on Facebook. My name is Joelle, Joelle, Norwood, Norwood. I'm on Facebook. And I have a YouTube channel, and I will be posting all kinds of tips. You're welcome to reach out to me. It's a good time to really understand that health is a journey. It's not a destination. So as this situation has arisen for me, I am so blessed to have gotten on a healthy journey for myself and really understand what that means, so that I feel very strong and very grounded into the situation. I have the tools.
That's wonderful. You do have fantastic tools. I also want to let our listeners know that they can contact me for any support that they need in any of their special situations, and they can do that through my AskArna website, AskArna.com. And there are places also, I believe, on the YouTube channel, and I can work with you by Skype, FaceTime, or also through a phone call. So I look forward to meeting again very soon with all of you. And Joelle, thank you again. This has been a fantastic conversation. Great food for thought here.
Take care, Arna. Be safe.
You too.
And I'll be in touch with you tomorrow.
Okay, thank you.
We will be in touch.
All right,
Bye-bye.
wonderful. Bye-bye.
Thank you for listening to the You Are Love podcast. Please be sure to subscribe. You can also follow Arna on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. To contact Arna, please visit AskArna.com.